Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. I wasn't sure what I was going to do in this video today, and then manna fell from heaven in the form of new Netflix explanatory Witcher trailers. But first, we get to do the Patreon song. I am still struggling with the ones the patrons nominated, which I like a challenge, but I'm not going to do them until they're ready. So I'm going to do a tried and true Christmas Carol now. I'm going to do one to an homage to Frosty the Snowman. Okay, ready? Here we go. Become a patron and you get to have your say. Do I sing more songs or show you my dog or make all days Catterday? Become a patron and you'll share some Christmas cheer, 'cause your money goes to make videos going into the new year. Bouncity bounce bounce, bouncity bounce bounce happens in my bra. Bouncity bounce bounce, bouncity bounce bounce, Patreon hurrah. And I will fully admit that I didn't know what to do with the thumpity thump thump part there, but I'm very proud of what I came up with. That was gold. Come on. Okay, so that's not what this is about. I hope you enjoyed that. Patreon.com/LeannaK. Become a patron. But these Witcher trailers left me kind of giddy, 'cause they prove some of my theories about what they're doing casting Henry Cavill as The Witcher. Because you guys know from the beginning that my initial thoughts about Henry Cavill as The Witcher, he's just way too pretty, right? And the thing that I think is kind of interesting, and this is going to be a real social experiment, because you guys know I love Witcher 3. I think Witcher to Witcher game, like CD Projekt from game to game, just got better and better in terms of their ability to make good games. They learned as they went, and it was kind of a cool journey. But I think Witcher 3 is an outstanding game. And you guys know I love Yennefer from that game. I thought the depiction of her was fascinating. The parts they chose to focus on, it was a very different kind of female character. And you guys know I love her. I ended up, as Geralt, I ended up going with Triss because I thought Triss was better for Geralt in that version of The Witcher. But I loved Yennefer as a character. I just did not think they were good together. And I mean, of course, the video games are a continuation of the Witcher stories. So there's a lot of like the really distant backstory that they didn't explore because it had already happened. It was a continuation. But they also just completely ignored. They cherry-picked a lot from the books. They made the women far more classically attractive across the board than they were in the books. And especially Triss, she went from kind of a mousy brunette with visible scars. Scarring in characters in The Witcher is super, super important symbolically. But they took her from like a mousy brunette with a giant blast scar on her chest that everybody can see to this like really hot redhead. And I never, as much as like people are like, you remind me of Triss Marigold, which, okay, thank you. I think, I don't know, Triss is kind of a doormat in the games. That's me, really. That's what people think of me. But that's not her in the books. They definitely kept some stuff, dumped some stuff. And so it's really interesting to see what the Witcher Netflix series is going whole hog on. Very different focus for what is clearly a very different audience. I think with these trailers for the Netflix series, they are really making it clear in more ways than one that, hey, fans of the Witcher video games, this show is not for you. When you're making a property to appeal to a pre-existing fan base, of which, let's face it, there are millions of players, around the world that love these games, they could have a very successful, by streaming service standards, very successful series just appealing to the existing fan base. But they're very much not. You don't create character explanation trailers for an existing fan base. Because you don't need to. Because the fan base already knows the characters. You don't have to explain it to them. And so the Netflix trailers seem to be sort of doing two things here. One, it's setting it up for new potential fans. This is what it's about. Don't get confused. Don't worry. We know there was a lot of names to learn in the first season of Game of Thrones. We're going to make that easy for you off the top. But also it's sending a very clear message to existing fans of the game franchise that this ain't that. I'm going to show the trailers. I might get demonetized because of that, which is why Patreon's super important. Because I think it's important to see the differences, right? The Witcher games were very much made for a predominantly male audience in mind. Nothing wrong with that. I think it was the right call based on who plays action RPGs. The Witcher Netflix series is, I'd say, going for an audience that is even more female skewing than Game of Thrones. And there are a lot of very clear reasons for that. Watch how they portray Geralt in the Geralt introduction trailer. And then I'm going to show you the Yennefer introduction trailer. And then if I've got time, I'm going to show you the Ciri trailer. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure. We might not have time. But they know who they want to go for as a viewer, and they are just going whole hog. So check it out.
Tell me, Witcher, you don't believe in destiny or the lesser evil?
He's conflicted, but he's good.
What do you believe in?
And he's pouty. But he's tortured.
What is a Witcher?
White hair, big ol' loner, two very
Dandelion looks good and gay. That's a good
who
sign.
you are.
A Witcher is a mutant, and their trade in particular is monster hunting.
That's a cool thing. That's a cool
You
monster.
are
I'll give
almost
that.
universally
But then he's
hated
pouty again and pretty.
by every species
Oh.
on the continent.
But he needs love because he's
It's unlikely
sad.
you're going to have a cheery personality.
Because he's brooding.
Geralt himself, despite the stony exterior, is actually quite good. Been very capable of doing bad things.
This is when I started
Geralt
to
isn't
gag.
simply a white knight. He isn't simply a harsh monster hunter. He's an incredible blend of the two.
He's
The rumors
sensitive
about
too.
witches are that they don't have emotions,
You take no prisoners. So I hear.
and that is perpetuated by them.
Did you catch that? Did you catch that dialogue? The rumor about witchers is they have no emotions and that is perpetuated by them. They did not say it is true. They said it is a rumor perpetuated by them. Meaning it's not true. Meaning he's sensitive. And with a little love, he'll... Oh, let's go on.
Sometimes there's monsters,
Good and gay.
sometimes there's money. Rarely both.
When they're created, they undergo alchemical trials, which is a combination of elixirs and magic, which have very aggressive effects on their bodies. This allows them to take various
Brooding.
potions. These potions enhance them in various and different ways. The signs that witches cast, they are basic magic, but
Brooding
very,
and
very
magical.
effective. You often see this very dry humor come through, which
Naked.
is one of the
Naked
more
and
charming
brooding.
aspects of Geralt.
You smell of death and destiny. It's onion. Right, yeah.
Destiny is
Okay.
one of the major
Did you
themes.
guys catch? It was a guy commenting on how another guy smells. That doesn't happen in media for men unless it's a fart joke.
Which is a force which is controlling him and indeed the world around him. Geralt aggravates destiny.
Oh!
He doesn't believe in it.
He's so
But
brooding.
It turns out there may be a little more to it.
Find her.
But Geralt's greatest strength is his capacity to still love despite having been treated incredibly harshly.
Enter
Despite what he
the
says,
Harlequin romance
he still
novel.
believes in the goodness of people.
He still
You couple
believes!
that with incredible sword skills, speed, agility, and endurance, then you have an interesting character.
And I admit, the monster brings me back from my cynicism every single time. But did you see the emphasis on feelings? The just clobbering. Oh no, he's really sensitive inside. He really does have emotions. Like, no, they just pretend not to because they're so tragic. You can tell that my inner asshole does not connect to this. I will watch it because the monsters look cool and the historic weaponry looks cool, and I'm going to giggle at the fact that there is going to be an explosion of slash fiction with Geralt and Dandelion because female fans of series love to do that. Especially when one guy is like this big brooding guy and the other guy is big eyes and curly hair. But it is so... There is so much pandering to the presumed female audience, the concept of the female gaze, if you will. But you're still like, okay, no, but there was Yennefer, and she had cleavage, and she had the mask, and she was sexualized, and all that stuff. And other feminist critics will go, oh no, that clearly makes it made for men. But then there is the Yennefer trailer. Get ready, kiddies. This is a very different Yennefer, and yet there is still crossover from the games. It starts with a very familiar looking image and then makes a decided left turn at Albuquerque. Here we go. There she is. We know her, we love her.
People wouldn't blink if you died.
But that is also Yennefer.
You lie. You keep secrets. You succumb to emotion.
Anger, there's pain, she's crying, she's smashing.
Do you actually have what it takes?
Yep.
Yennefer is in a constant battle with herself. She had a
She's
really
like
tragic childhood.
3/4
Place
Lena
of
Dunham
frustration,
here.
Rage, confusion. She was born with a
Yep.
deformed spine and jaw abnormality, and because of that, her father resented her a lot.
How much for this beast?
Yep.
6.
4.
So, 4 marks.
That moment sets up the whole of Yennefer's journey.
Just because you are conduits of chaos does not mean that you are capable of magic.
That then became her life.
Yep.
Who's next?
However, she
I do love her
is never
dresses.
satisfied, always striving for something else. She
I love that.
owns her sexuality and uses it to manipulate people and get what she wants. Yennefer of Vengerberg.
She owns
The
it.
world is cruel. You enter, you survive, you die.
She presents a certain version of herself, someone who's direct and in control, dangerous. The arc that she goes through is an incredible challenge. She longs for this connection, but that fear, that insecurity, feeds this chaos, this magic that makes her incredibly powerful. She's epic.
What more do you want?
Everything.
I don't know if that's supposed to be Philippa or what, but okay. Do you see the focus on her insecurities, her anger. And then, yeah, okay, she's super glamorous. She presents as super glamorous to the outside. But, oh no, like, deep down, she's... Right? I mean, it is so cribbing off of the whole Cinderella fantasy, which... I mean, obviously in the games, Yennefer, they don't speak, they don't like go on the nose. The books don't talk about feelings a lot. It hints at it. It's almost written like a noir, at least the fan translations I've read. But that is a completely different cherry pick with extrapolation from the game. And I was just so like, oh no, like Yennefer gets to be this beautiful, like glamorous, owns her sexuality. She's not a victim. She's not a victim. Oh no, she owns her sexuality to manipulate. Not that she really likes it, to manipulate. Where, of course, Yennefer's sexual adventurousness has a much greater element of pleasure in the games, and they show in this trailer. Now, hey, maybe that'll develop. But no, it's okay that she likes sex. It's okay that she's beautiful to the outside world because the audience who needs to relate to this character knows she's secretly a freaking deformed freak. And I don't know why. I do know why, but I don't want to connect to why. Media made for women has this like emphasis on insecurity. Like instead of giving us permission to be insecure, why doesn't media for women encourage us to feel more secure about what we have? Like this is actually kind of a toxic message for women because let's face it, we don't have glamours in the real world. So, this is still sort of encouraging the idea that, hey, guess what, ladies? Nobody's going to like you unless you can be performatively beautiful, even though you're like, that's how you feel when you get up in the morning. But by the time you put your makeup on, then you're like 50 Shades of Grey, mask Yennefer. It's disturbing. And yet it very much does play into feminine fantasy. And I think I have time to do the Ciri trailer too, because that one I was just like, whoa, some may think this is subtle. I don't. And it focuses mostly on the age of the character when she meets Geralt and sort of their stories intertwine. Now, those of you who played the video games know that Ciri is a very young child when she first is cared for by Geralt and Yennefer and Triss. But this is a different Cirilla, and notice what they play up. So I'm going to let this roll over and then I'll transition. But, oh no, it's a different video now. I'm going to have to find it. Shit. Crap. Hang on a second. It rolled over into a different video. Witcher, I have to actually Google Netflix. Damn you, YouTube autoplay. There's actually videos already made about why Yennefer looks like that in the Witcher TV series. Because people have read the books like, no, really, there's something there. Like, I can understand a lot of people who've only played the games who have no knowledge of the books are going, Burf, WTF. But yeah, it's just they've chosen to play up an element of Yennefer's backstory that really isn't relevant to the games because it's an ongoing story. But okay, here's Ciri. Princess Cirilla.
Here's your first lesson.
They might have well called her Xena.
It is impossible always to be fully prepared for battle. Keep your sword close and keep moving.
There's something special about this girl. she's very loyal to the people that she loves. She's built a heart from it. But
I think she's very cool looking, by the way.
In the real world, all she's known was a sheltered life as a princess and this very secure...
I talked over that, so to summarize, lack of real-world experience, sheltered life, okay? People who have played the Witcher video games are already going, WTF, she was training when she was like 9 or 5, or I forget what they started her off as a game.
Secure network of people looking after her.
At least you didn't shit your kicks.
She's very relentless, very stubborn, and she's also very naive. I think she just wants to make sure that she doesn't get trapped in that box.
Would you honor me with the dance?
Martin.
She'd love to.
The typical conforming life of a princess. She wants to kind of break free from that.
Barf!
Suddenly gets dropped in a very brutal world. People are after her. Does become something very scary.
Lesson number 2. Know when it's time to stop moving.
She loses everybody she's known within one night.
It's a nice cloak design.
A huge theme in The Witcher is the loss of family and the search for family.
Find Geralt of Rivia. He is your destiny.
If that's the last words that her grandmother has said to her, it means a great deal, and I think that's what keeps her determined to continue on. That's all she's got left to cling on to. It does mean a lot to her, but she doesn't quite know yet what it means. Being a princess doesn't matter anymore. She just doesn't know where to begin.
Be careful, child.
This place isn't safe if you're alone.
And it's the same as every other place.
Now, you see, again, they didn't totally neglect the source material. In some places they did, but okay, let's face it, the game neglects the source material where it's convenient as well. They change certain things to make it their vision, but they're playing up aspects of Ciri's character that, I mean, you don't even see Geralt or Yennefer in her trailer. It's a Princess Cirilla. Oh my God. Like, they're so going badass Disney princess with her. Do you see how they're creating what some people call U-shaped boxes for the female viewer? Like, let's face it, there's a lot there is an idealized portrayal of Geralt. The cynicism, the working stiff elements of him are way downplayed, and this noble, they actually call him a white knight at one point, which would make sort of, classic Witcher fans, I think a lot of them cringe. He's more nuanced than that. A white knight who's capable of very bad things. He's a good they're really playing up the bad boy with a heart of gold thing. Whereas, the Geralt, a lot of people know, is much more morally ambivalent. Now, in part, that's because the character most people know is and some of these quotes are directly from the books. They've just cherry picked and created a very simplistic interpretation of those quotes instead of the much more nuanced, layered portrayals that the books achieves in a rather spectacular way, with a lot of conservation of language. And I understand the fan translations I read in a lot of ways are better for that than the official translations that were released as the games came out. But what is interesting to me is that they have so gone full female gaze, for lack of a better term. You guys know I don't know those terms. I don't like those terms. But I find it interesting to use them as sort of self-fulfilling prophecies, right? And I do believe that there is media made for men and for women. So let's use those terms. The Witcher video games were clearly made for men, and primarily, and that was the right choice. Now, that didn't mean there weren't a lot of strong, interesting female characters, but the type of strong and interesting female character that are in the Witcher are much more, you can tell that guys were the primary writers there. And that's not a bad thing. I'm just saying it's very interesting to see what female heroes for a primary male audience and then female heroes for a primary female audience are. And you do see a reversal. You see a lot more warts, for lack of a better term. Geralt has much more visible scarring in the Witcher games. The women in the Witcher TV show see more physical vulnerabilities, more signs of physical damage, right? And what's interesting, excuse me while I Google, I think this is important. When you are taught gender performance, you learn how positioning of symbols is extremely important. And one of the things you're taught is how male performance tends to be very straight on to the camera. The Japanese bend this theory wonderfully with Bishonen, because Bishonen are attractive male characters, but instead of being the straight-on traditional male posing, they're actually tend to be at a 45-degree angle with an S-curve like women. And that sort of plays up the sort of gender bending while maintaining a veneer of masculinity that Bishis are known and loved for. So here is the original White Wolf, the Wolf Clan medallion symbol for The Witcher. This is the symbol that gamers know and love, right? Super aggressive, in your face, very, very forward facing, very jump out at you, like, you know? This is gotta go full screen, sorry. This is the symbol for the Netflix series. Off to the side. And the crazy thing is when you're taught gender performance theory, and video game and movie marketing shows us again and again and again, if you look at the ads for Grand Theft Auto, even with the pink skies and the ads full of women, you know, that Grand Theft Auto 5 ad where like the female cop is like arresting I guess she's supposed to be a prostitute or something like that, but woman of ill repute, right? And she's got her bent over the car, but they're both looking almost confrontational. The cop certainly is right at the camera. That's very much male performance. Whereas you look at the trailer for something like Brokeback Mountain, neither of them are looking at the camera. The marketing for Brokeback Mountain looks more like the marketing of Titanic, that movie that made $1 bazillion, and I'm not quite sure why. Looks more like that than the marketing for a conventional Western. And I find it interesting that even let's face it, this is way less dynamic than as the pendant, as the clan medallion, than the one for the game is. At least I think so. But, you know, this is where I have to check myself and remind myself that I'm not gender conforming when it comes to this stuff. And this is part of the reason I'm so interested in this, because, you know, I have gone my whole life recognizing that most women the majority of women, anyway, not most, 75%, give or take-ish, of women will prefer, will be very, very interested. You know, those people who really love Game of Thrones, who want a new fix that seem very similar, there's going to be a lot to like in the new Witcher Netflix show. And I'm going to be interested to see the various elements of the story kind of played up in a very different way. I am actually kind of excited, almost as like an analytical academic pursuit, even though I suspect that some of the imagery and some of the way things are handled are going to insult my intelligence. But I'm more stoked than I was before. Because I guess maybe now I've embraced the pander and I'm okay with the pander. And I know, like, I've almost been told by these trailers, which, like I said, was part of the purpose of them. This is not a show for me. So I can go in and watch this show knowing it's not for me. And be, like, content in the fact that there are certain elements that are just going to repel me. Same way elements of Game of Thrones repelled me. Because I tend to prefer media for men. I quite honestly would like to see more of a balance, right? And BioWare was starting to do this before they lost their way. That there was the male wish fulfillment and the male relatability, but then the female wish fulfillment and also the female relatability. Like, there were some female characters, you know, that were very much kind of tailored for male desire. You know, like Miranda in Mass Effect. She's described as a perfect woman. But then there were other women that female characters that could see more of themselves in, like, you know, Tali or Liara, and plenty of guys like them too. Like, that's the thing. This is why I don't believe in a single male gaze, because men are far more diverse and complicated than that theory allows for. And the wonderful thing about doing both is you have something for everybody. And I hate that media feels the need to choose because of this self-fulfilling prophecy of gaze theory. And what I can only hope is now that we're getting this forced or enforced sort of female gaze in media by, like, you know, Jessica Jones, and now clearly, like, there's an element of it in The Witcher. It almost screams like, okay, you boys have your video games, but now we're going to have our TV show, you know, like it almost has that latch on point, doesn't it? Or maybe I'm projecting because I'm just so, I don't, like, can't we just have a normal girl? Does every relatable female heroine have to be like a princess or female Quasimodo? Like what's okay with just being kind of plain and useful? You know? What about that? No, because women are still taught in media for women that if you're not fucking gorgeous, you're fucking disgusting. And this is why I make videos like this. All right, hope you enjoyed this analysis. I will post the videos for the trailers so that you can watch them without me talking over them. You know how it is. Become a patron. Patreon.com/LeannaK. Your support is greatly appreciated. Again, because this video might get demonetized. Thanks for watching.